Hello, I'm Kent Justice, and we're so glad that you're watching right now, wherever you are, that you're taking a moment out of your time to participate in what's going to be a conversation today. The Community Veterans Engagement Board presenting VetTalk X. Today, we're at the national headquarters of Wounded Warrior Project in Jacksonville, Florida. This is a collaborative effort. It's a collaboration between the Veterans Administration, City of Jacksonville, and numerous other local organizations. All focused kind of on the same mission today. The mission of this event is to spread awareness about how the VA, how the City of Jacksonville, and how the local organizations that you're going to hear from can really help veterans effectively transition back into our community. So during today's event, several veterans are going to share their stories, representatives of these organizations sharing their stories, sharing how the organization that they represent has really helped them transition into a healthy community. That's the big goal. We are live streaming today's event, and we appreciate all of you joining us, as I mentioned, and we're encouraging each of you reach out to any of these organizations that you want support from or you want to give support to, because it's a pretty impressive group that you're going to hear from. So as we conduct some interviews here, take some notes at home, reach out to the various organizations or even the speakers themselves. And the first speaker today is Jason Snodgrass, who's going to come over. Jason, the Chief Operating Officer of Canines for Warriors, an Army veteran who deployed to Iraq and was injured in that duty, involved in the creation of something that's really cool called Fire Watch. It's the program that's a new initiative to end veteran suicide. It's in Jacksonville and surrounding counties. And Jason, I appreciate it, man. This is fun. Man. We've gotten to visit a little bit over the years because of what Canines for Warriors does. So why don't we start there? Okay. What is Canines for Warriors, and how does it impact the life of a transitioning veteran?
Canines for Warriors, we train and provide service dogs to post 9/11 veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma. We've been doing this since 2011. We've successfully graduated 589 warrior dog teams as of last Thursday. So we're happy about that. About to roll over the 600 mark toward the end of the year. You know, we have a pretty robust support system inside Canines for Warriors too. So our application process is really involved with our warrior relations team and those guys and gals over there. They kind of take the applicant through and handhold them through the entire process and really get them going there.
So is there a recruiting element of that where you're reaching out to, or is it word of mouth where people say, hey, I met somebody who's got this dog and they got him from Canines for Warriors?
Yeah, there's not really recruitment necessary. There's a lot of word of mouth, social media, stuff like this. People seeing our dogs out in the community all across the country. We've got graduates now in 44 states, Puerto Rico, even Guam. We have a service dog out in Guam. So people see the dogs out in the community, and we don't have to do a lot of recruitment.
There's a pretty compelling element about that. Who are these dogs? They're rescues, right?
That's right. We use rescue dogs from really all over the Southeast. We've got a dog procurement team that goes out and they kind of scour the dog shelters in Florida, Georgia. We're working on a kennel in San Antonio to pull dogs from ACS out there. So we're really getting them from all over the country.
Well, something symbolic about that too, when a warrior who has served, when someone who has given so much is able to rescue this dog as well, and then have that dog be part of that transition. Pretty cool. Tell me about how Canines for Warriors, together with City of Jacksonville and the VA, how do you help warriors transition?
Well, the mayor of the City of Jacksonville, the City of Jacksonville City Council, and the beaches communities, and really everywhere in this Northeast Florida region, the local governments have been really supportive of Canines for Warriors. The VA has really kind of paired with us to work in getting service dogs in the VA. There's some dog insurance initiatives that our team is working on now too. So they've been helpful and kind of understand that this is a supplementary effort to help the veterans out.
Yeah, one of the things we wanted to ask about is what the story and vision is of Fire Watch.
Right.
This is brand new.
This is brand new. Yeah. So Councilman Diamond, being with Canines for Warriors as long as he has, and kind of seeing how we operate and kind of save a life using our dogs, understands that the dog is a component to that, and there's also a human element to that too. So I'll couple that with the recognition that there's not really been a demonstrable reduction in the veteran suicide rate from top-down efforts. Had this idea that we're going to do it from the bottom up, kind of start at that smallest common element and bring that up instead of trying to force it down.
Yeah. If somebody says, boy, I want to know more about Canines for Warriors, or I want to support them, or maybe it's the other end of that too. Hey, I think that might need to be the support that I need.
Right.
Then how do they connect? Do they do it through directly Canines for Warriors? Is it through the city? Is it through another agency?
The easiest way is for Canines for Warriors is to go to our website, which is www.caninesforwarriors.org. And if you want to apply to the program, you can do it around the website there. If you want to make a donation, you can do it around the website there. Request information, you can do it all right there on the website.
Yeah. Maybe last thing, and we wrap up here. People have talked about Jacksonville being a veteran-friendly community.
Sure.
In your view, is this the place where it spreads outward, where all veterans know the kind of support, kind of services that they can get and plug in to make that transition?
Absolutely. I've been in Jacksonville since the end of 2006, and I've seen this community just in terms of veteran support just grow over the last almost 15 years now that I've been here. So this is an awesome place to be. I love Jacksonville. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah. I love it too. And part of that is the love that's shown for our veterans like you. Jason, appreciate it. Jason Snodgrass.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that.
All right. Cool. So that's the example. That's one of the interviews that we'll do here. One of the things that we want to do to try and communicate how our community is engaged there and working together for the benefit of our veterans. So Ray Myers is here. Ray, come on over. Ray is from Operation New Uniform. Very good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Glad to be here.
I'm going to brag on Ray for just a minute here. 26 years as a Navy vet with a background healthcare management, training, project management, administration, and a 2017 graduate of Operation New Uniforms, Class 17, now a project manager with Operation New Uniform. So somebody out there might say, what's this new uniform business? What is the new uniform that somebody puts on when we're talking about ONU?
Operation New Uniform is not actually a uniform. It's a mindset. Okay. When we are in the military, we always figure and wonder what we're going to do when we grow up. Every veteran has to go through that challenges. You know, mind, I can tell you a little bit about my story.
Yeah.
Between me, my father, and my brother, 71 years serving the Navy.
Wow. That's awesome.
And we do that because we want to serve and help out. My story starts back in 1995. I was on Japan on a ship, and I had a mentor, someone to help guide me, treat me, and teach me the things to survive in the military. We served together, set our different ways. 10 years later, I'm in Groton, Connecticut, walking through a parking lot, and I see a guy that's disheveled pushing a cart. I'm walking, and I say hi, and he says, "Hey, Doc." Being a corpsman in the military, to call you Doc. I keep moving because I'm like.
He recognized you?
He recognized me. I wasn't sure, I was kind of apprehensive. I kept moving. He said, "Hey, Doc Myers." He knew me. I turned around and recognized it was the gentleman that had mentored me 10 years ago. I said, "What happened? What happened to you?" He said, "Well, I got out the military. I didn't prepare." Like all veterans, we have some trouble transitioning from the military. He retired as an E5, had a retirement, it's pension. Got divorced. The wife that had kids took half. So he didn't have any skills that would transfer to the corporate America and didn't know how to be successful. From that conversation, I had a list of things to do, get an education, degree, certification, save money. And I took that and I marched on forward. 10 years later, I retired from the military. Great resume, as you said. Don't know anyone to connect with. How can I find my next career? Lucky with the VA help Voc Rehab, I found Operation New Uniform. And what they do is they take you in there and they change your behavior, your attitude, and give you some techniques to be successful.
Yeah, one of the things I understand is really important is being able to explain to that civilian company. Hey, here's what my military experience was, and here's how it translates
Absolutely.
into what you're doing in your business. Is that right?
That's correct. Most veterans are unemployed or underemployed. We don't know how to disseminate those acronyms of ULIs and things of that nature, or we speak military. The military is designed to get people and assimilate. We don't know how to separate and be an individual once we leave. And that's what Operation New Uniform does. It gives you some resume, it gives some coaching, and it works on the behavior, your attitude, and techniques. It's based on Sandler training system, which is for leadership and sales. And it helps you separate from your responsibilities of wearing that uniform to your identity, and then presents you to corporate America.
I would imagine, though, if I'm in the shoes that you wore coming out of the military, if somebody said, hey, go do Sandler training, go do sales or leadership training, I'd say, I'm just trying to find my way, my next career, right?
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And it's what it is in the military, we say, we did this. You know, when you go to a corporation or employer, they don't want to hear what we did. They're hiring you. So you need to be able to present yourself, your skills, your talents, and what you can bring to an organization. And that's what we do, Operation Uniform. We give you those skills to transition to corporate America.
So this is for folks who served as enlisted or officers or both?
You can do 2 months to 32 years. We don't matter. Any veteran is welcome to our program, and it's no cost to you.
All right, lots to digest there. Clearly it would work for you. What about that mentor that you mentioned that you saw after 10 years, some more than 10 years ago?
Right.
Would it have worked for him? Because you said he didn't have skills. No, he probably had.
He had
lots
skills.
Of skills.
He didn't know how to present them, capture them in the resume, and then he didn't have what we have in Operation Uniform in Jacksonville, Florida. We partner with local companies and organizations that are looking to hire veterans, to give them an opportunity. We don't want a handout. We don't want someone to feel sorry for us. We just want an opportunity.
Yeah, and you get some there.
Yes, we do.
Man, I want to keep talking. I think they're going to wrap us up there.
Okay.
Ray Myers, I appreciate it. Operation New Uniform. Maybe the last thing here as we wrap up, how does it work with other agencies or other community organizations here in Jacksonville for the benefit of every veteran?
We have so many veteran organizations here in Jacksonville. Some take care of like K9s, Wounded Warrior, Operation New Uniform. We're partnering. We're coming together and forming a collaboration that is going to shock the nation and shock the world. Jacksonville is the pinnacle for putting things together for veterans because we're a community that no one really understands, and want to take advantage of our skill set.
Yeah, right. It's fantastic.
We're doing it right here in Duval.
Oh, I love it. Duval right there. Ray Myers from Operation Uniform. Appreciate that. So our next guest here, Stephen Spickelmeyer, Veterans Council of Duval County. I'm going to give some of your background, sir, if you don't mind. Sure. Currently the chairman of the Veterans Council of Duval County, in the Navy during Vietnam, retired from the Air Force, also currently serving for the Missing in America project. This is, as I understand, where you're responsible for bringing together all the military branches of armed forces and rendering joint honors at national cemeteries in Florida. You're still plugged in, and why don't you maybe explain to us the connection there and how Duval Veterans Council can really help veterans in our area?
Certainly. We started about 2016, 2017 with the Veterans Council of Duval County. We renamed it from the Northeast Florida Veterans Council to the Veterans Council of Duval County to put us in relationship with the other 5 counties. And since then, when we started out, we probably had maybe 12 veteran service organizations that were really active. And now I'm happy to say, after today, we're up to 51 veteran service organizations that belong to the Veterans Council of Duval County, which we fall underneath the mayor's executive order here in the city.
So it sounds like there's been a growth, certainly of the organizations that want to help veterans. Is there too much overlap, or does that make it too broad? Is there a way that you help refine that process for veterans who say, I need help, I'm not sure exactly where?
Well, when you have 51 organizations and we start interacting together, if someone has an issue, they know there's an organization that they can go to rather rapidly. And it's helping define who has what responsibilities. We're very excited where we're headed. And when we vote together this past Tuesday, I had the opportunity, because I'm chairman of the support committee for the Jacksonville National Cemetery also. And we're putting the new road in that will run from I-95 over to the cemetery and connect on Lanny Road. I asked all of them sitting there because we have to pass this through the city to have that road named, and that road will be renamed the Gold Star Families Memorial Parkway, as we have 5 KIAs that are interred in the National Cemetery here in Jacksonville. So that's one of the big things, and I asked everyone to raise their hand, and it was a unanimous vote of all the organizations sitting there to go forward with the renaming.
And should have been a
Yes.
unanimous
Yeah.
vote. It should have. That's awesome to hear that there's that kind of unanimity, that there's that kind of support.
And that's just the stuff that we're growing within the city as a whole, of the whole veterans organizations. And I'm proud of every one of them. I mean, we can start out with AFA, the American Legion, and end up with WWP, the Wounded Warrior Project, that we're all members. Ray was here, ONU, they're a member. And a lot of the other ones that you'll see here today that speak in the organizations are all part of us.
It's interesting. We see examples, not today that we're talking about, but we see
Certainly.
examples outside of this sphere where agencies or organizations are competing and against each other, and they don't want the other one to succeed. Do you see that differently here? Are these organizations
yeah.
saying
It's
we all
inclusive.
want the same thing?
Yeah, we all want the same thing. We all want to do the best that we can for veterans. And that leads us right into the CVEB, which I'm a part of.
The
And,
CVB, so
Right.
yeah.
Community Veterans Engagement Board.
So that's one of the reasons that we're here is to talk about the engagement for veterans.
Certainly.
Tell me just a little bit about your experience or your background, and maybe we wrap up after that. But what was it that you needed as a veteran stepping out of serving the nation and trying to make that transition?
Well, yeah, when you first transition, first thing is to get a job, and which we did. And I went to AT&T Long Lines and started my career there, and then went up through the management system and retired network operations manager here in Jacksonville over the period of years. But it just helped me, and I wanted to give back to the veterans. And everybody always asks me, well, why do you get so involved? I get involved because my dad hit Normandy Beach on D-Day at Omaha and was there for the entire duration.
Wow.
This is why I give back to the veterans, to honor him and his memory.
Yeah. Impressive story, and I appreciate sharing that. Last thing, what advice would you give to veterans in our Jacksonville area?
Become a part of one of the organizations. I'm sure that you can assimilate with any one of the 51. If you have an opportunity and would like to speak with me, I would be more than happy to share anything with you and the veterans organizations that we're together of.
That's fantastic. Stephen Spiegelmeyer, Veterans Council of Duval County. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, Ken. Thank you.
My
Have a
pleasure.
blessed day.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so you're certainly getting the feel of this, right? You're certainly understanding that each of the people that we're visiting with today have something maybe unique, but something that may apply to you or one of your favorite veterans. So again, if you're taking notes, great. If you want to reach out directly to the organizations like Stephen just mentioned, please do that as well. As we continue here, Jennifer Mack from Wounded Warrior Project is our next guest. So our speaker here, 2005, Jennifer, I understand that your brother James Smith suffered multiple injuries in Iraq. Pretty clear that you've got care and compassion for somebody who served. So let's just talk about what that did. And we're going to talk about clearly Wounded Warrior Project and the connection for veterans here, but share just that part of the story with me.
Well, the improvised explosive device that detonated under my brother's vehicle blew him up and really blew up my life right along with it. And it forever changed our path and set me on a new course as a caregiver.
As a caregiver, yeah. Okay, so if we just stop in the story for a moment right there, that might be you listening right now. You didn't serve, but your life was about that service to that loved one who, in this case, was injured and impacted. And clearly there are some ways that these organizations here in the greater Jacksonville area want to help you as well. This is awesome. Please continue.
Well, the thing about being a caregiver, especially when it happens so suddenly or unexpectedly, as it often does with our veterans who are wounded in combat, is that you're not prepared. You don't have a toolkit. You don't have any marching orders yourself. Things change on a daily basis. And for a long time, I didn't know who to ask for help, and I didn't know what to ask.
How did you find the answers to some of that? That had to be frustrating and probably pretty scary too.
I was really isolated, and the nature of caregiving actually increases the isolation. And I didn't realize that there are actually millions of caregivers in this country caring for veterans. Over 5.5 million people care for a veteran, whether it's somebody from World War II or somebody who served in a post 9/11 combat like my brother. What happened to our family was that I experienced great burnout. After a number of years, pretty much doing everything on my own, the anxiety and the stress really built up, and I reached a crisis point. And it was during that crisis that another veteran who was enrolled at Wounded Warrior Project and had been through their peer mentor training actually recognized in me the crisis I was experiencing and intervened on our behalf and got me some help. And then also reached out to Wounded Warrior Project to ask how they could help our family.
Wow. Families serve. I've been educated on this since plugging into the Jacksonville community, that it's not singularly that soldier, sailor, it's the whole family, and you're absolutely evidence of that. So what were some of the ways that, in this case, Wounded Warrior Project helped with the needs that you had as a caregiver for your brother?
So initially they worked with me and my brother. Enrolling my brother in some of the programs that they offer helped change our lives dramatically. The Independence program has helped provide him in-home care and access to the community, and really took some of that burden off of my shoulders. And then I was able to engage in their programs and services. They connected me to a group of my peers, so other caregivers, the mothers of service members wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that changed my life, because when you connect with somebody who knows what it's like to walk in your shoes, you suddenly realize that you're not alone. And that's when my isolation started to end. And that's also when I decided I'd like to go back to work. There was a problem with that. I had a big gap in my resume. I needed to brush up on my skills before I was ready for the workforce. And so Wounded Warrior Project helped me with that too.
I guess off the top, I was wondering, as you're explaining your story, did you need somebody else who could understand what you were going through? Did you need to talk that out? Or did you actually need somebody to say, hey, I'll take that duty off your list because you needed to rest? Is it a combination of those things?
It was a real combination. We needed comprehensive care for our family. And so I needed assistance with my brother, and he needed to access the community. You know, he needed to engage with other veterans, not just his big sister. Nobody wants to be with their big sister all the time.
Right.
And I needed peer support. I needed mental health counseling, and I needed to return to the workforce. Working for me is a form of respite. And we also both needed to learn how to engage again as family members, not just caregiver and care recipient. And that was really important for our journey.
Yeah. What would you say to folks out there about, in this case, Wounded Warrior Project and connecting with the community? This is not only play in my sandbox, this is collaborative effort, right?
Absolutely. So what we learned when we started engaging with Wounded Warrior Project was that there were a number of community resources available to us. I didn't know how to ask. I didn't know who to ask. And more importantly, when help was offered, I needed to be taught to accept that help. And Wounded Warrior Project taught me to do that. And they also introduced us to loads of local folks and other organizations that we can engage with here in Jacksonville. Mission Continues, for example. We've been able to go to some Jaguars games and meet other local folks so that we can establish a network for ourselves.
Yeah. Hey, I really appreciate your brother's service, but I appreciate that in this setting, you could lay out for everybody who's watching right now, that's the entire family, and appreciate your service to your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Jennifer, and explaining a little bit more about Wounded Warrior Project and community connection. Thank you. I'm imagining right now that somebody watching right now says, that's me. I'm that caregiver. I need that. So go ahead and reach out directly. Again, in this case, Wounded Warrior Project, some of the organizations that we're talking with today might be exactly what you need. And that's what we want. We want you to understand that those resources are available for you right now. So Jeff Winkler is with us, Mission United in North Florida. Thanks so much for being part of what we're doing to try and spread this awareness and talk about the collaboration. Jeff is serving as the head of basic needs for United Way of North Florida, currently working on establishing Mission United in Northeast Florida. So why don't we start there? Why don't you explain what the Mission United is and what we're doing to establish it here in our region?
Sure, Kent. Mission United is a community-led collective impact initiative that's really designed to help do three things in our community. That's to help connect, convene, and collaborate. And so when you look at the veteran community here in Northeast Florida, there's a ton of resources. And oftentimes veterans in this community don't necessarily know where those resources are, how to navigate them. So one of the primary roles of Mission United is to help those veterans and their family members connect to those resources through the use of United Way's 211 information and referral platform, which is a 24/7 information hotline. The other purpose is to convene. A lot of times what we've learned is many of these organizations aren't communicating with one another. So how can we create a platform for those organizations to come together to work more collaboratively together? And that's the third piece, to collaborate. Now that we're bringing everybody together under one table, how can we effectively work as a community to look at comprehensive and strategic solutions that are sustainable and measurable?
So if those are the values that you just explained, and when you heard about, hey, we're going to talk today about the collaboration of the different available services, this is right in your wheelhouse, right? Right, exactly what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. And the mission of United Way is to connect people, resources, and ideas to solve our community's toughest challenges. For the last 94 years, United Way has been helping 1/3 of our residents who are either in poverty or who are on the brink of poverty. We've always served veterans, but this is us being a little bit more intentional about this work. And beginning about 2 years ago, we had a number of organizations and individuals who approached us who said, how can we get United Way to take on Mission United here in our community? And we know that we're new to this space, and we have an incredible, robust network of organizations who are doing great work. So we really took a deliberative approach in 2 years, over the last 2 years, really socialized this idea, determined if there was a need for it in our community. And we've been humbled by the response of the veteran service organizations saying, we want United Way to take on this role. And I can tell you, we're honored to do this work.
Are we already up and running? Can I call 211 right now and say, hey, can you guide me? Or is that still coming down the road?
So 211 is available right now. We're continuing to build out our community database. And I would encourage any veteran service organization out there, if you're not plugged into 211, contact us. We need to get your information so we can communicate that to the community. Folks can contact 211 right now, but we anticipate that Mission United will be fully operational in the spring of 2020.
Okay, so coming soon.
Yes.
I just heard that tease. That was like the billboard, coming soon.
To a theater near you.
Yeah, something like that. Who qualifies for some of the services that you're talking about when we discuss Mission United?
Everybody and anybody. We do not discriminate. We do not, we will allow any active duty, any veteran, regardless of their status. We really want to make this service as inclusive as possible for everybody in our community.
Yeah. Are you having a chance individually to reach out to people? Is this are there corporations coming alongside? How are you working this out to launch Mission United, make it fully operational?
Sure. So we're working, we've had great interactions with many of the veteran service organizations in our community, many of who are here today, who are just doing phenomenal work. Also, Jacksonville being the most military friendly, if not, well, actually it is the most military friendly in our community. So many different organizations are dedicated to this, and they're lining up to make sure that veterans and their families don't slip through the cracks. And we know that we can collectively work together to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Jeff, I didn't serve in one of the branches of our armed forces. I have a huge heart for veterans and issues. What about you? Did you serve?
I did not, but both my father and my brother have.
How about that? Yeah. So still passionate about it, right?
Absolutely.
Another way that we can be patriots is by supporting those who served our country like that. Maybe final thought there. What's your advice to somebody's watching now and knows they need some assistance, but not exactly sure what to do about it or where to go?
It's difficult when families are in need and where to turn, and oftentimes to have one dedicated entry point to be able to connect them to all their needs. I think another piece of Mission United that's so unique, it's not just giving an individual phone number, it's pairing them with another veteran, another peer person who will stick with them until they get the help that they need. So if they have any questions at all, please contact United Way 211. We'll connect you to all these great community resources who are doing the work that are helping save veterans' lives every day.
Yeah, part of the value and the power of what you're explaining is it can be a little daunting with various different organizations, or, hey, how do I know what the right one is? So it really sounds like what United Way is doing, and Mission United, you'd be able to help sort that out for folks. Jeff, appreciate the time this morning. Yeah, best success too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Jeff Winkler from Mission United of North Florida. Next up is Netanya Davis, who's a licensed clinical social worker and certified alcohol and substance abuse counselor. We're talking about the VA. Thank you for being here with us.
Welcome.
And then transitioning service member services with the VA. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
So as we visit here, you worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs 5 years. And then tell me a little bit about the role as case manager, what you do there.
So I currently work for transition care management, and transition can mean a lot of things for a lot of people.
Sure.
But what our department does is we want to help veterans that are transitioning either out of the service, navigate through the VA healthcare system. We realize it's quite complex. There are lots of areas of the VA, and it can sometimes be challenging if you don't have a person to go to help you with enrollment or help you to get some of the healthcare services that you need. We originally were called OEF, OYF, OND coordinators, which meaning that we focus
That's a lot.
primarily, a lot of acronyms, but we focus on those post 9/11 combat veterans. But we recently changed our name when I took over here, when I took the position here in Jacksonville in 2017. We changed it to transition care because we want to help all veterans transition into the VA healthcare system. It is their right. They've honorably served their country, and they need to access the services and benefits that they're due to them. And so we don't want any veteran to feel just because they may not have served in the post 9/11 era that we don't want to assist them. We assist them through case management services, a lot of different areas.
Netanya, what's the barrier to getting veterans to understand what the services available to them is? Is it just not knowing that there can be one person to help guide you through the system? Is it not understanding that they're eligible? What do you think that is? And how do you overcome that?
I think that there is a myriad of factors. I think sometimes people get misinformation in the community. Benefits and eligibility are always changing. I think that there is also the obstacle that they might have not been able to get through to the proper person. And I think that transition care has been influential in helping veterans because we can be that one contact person to get them to the different areas in the VA that they need to get the services that they need. If they have to go through it alone, particularly, we know all the referrals to different areas in the VA, such as benefits, filing for compensation. If they have to try to find all that on their own, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a lot to try and pull together on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You're passionate about this. Why is that?
I'm passionate about this because I've been a military dependent my entire life. And my father was a 30-year Air Force veteran, and my grandfather is a World War II Navy veteran, actually 98 years old, still hanging on.
That's awesome.
So I've always been passionate about veterans, and I decided when I got my MSW, that's where I wanted to focus.
So when you help somebody through your organization, do you feel like you're helping dad, helping your grandfather, that kind of thing?
Definitely. I always look at it as, how would I want my father to be treated? How would I want my grandfather to be treated? And just realizing the sacrifices that my own family has made as well as other veterans keeps pushing me through.
How do you determine which veterans need case management through transition and care management?
Well, we first go on what the veteran tells us. If the veteran says, yes, I need help, I need, whether it's just for a short-term period, case management can extend from a few weeks to all the way up to a year or several years. But based on that veteran's need, what they tell us that they need, based on the circumstances that go on in their life, we make phone calls to them anywhere from monthly to every quarter. But to just say, how are things going? We see you didn't attend your appointment. What do you need help with so that we can make sure that you're attending the appointments you need so that you can get the services that you need?
So what are some of those reasons that you hear? Hey, is it transportation? Is it, I didn't feel like it today. What are some of the reasons that you hear there?
I hear a various amount of reasons, from I'm depressed, I can't get out of bed. Well, maybe do I need to come pick you up for your appointment? I hear various reasons. Transportation. Well, let me hook you up with someone that will be willing to transport you to your appointment. Finances, various reasons.
Yeah. The work that you're doing through the VA there, is it reclaiming, if not saving, some lives?
I know for a fact it's saving lives. And, you know, I want all veterans to know that the VA's motto is I care. I care, but there are a lot of the VA cares. And I know that we are saving lives personally, just from the veterans that I have been able to give some hope to.
Give some hope to. That's got to be a good feeling when you get that through. It's work to get that message to make its way through, though, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it has.
I appreciate the time. Boy, I love seeing the passion as you talk about what you're trying to accomplish there. Maybe wrap us up with how the VA is working with these other agencies or through the city of Jacksonville to try and make that difference you want.
The VA is constantly doing these type of events, partnering with the Wounded Warrior Project. There's the Semper Fi Fund. I think that we have to get out in the community and not sit behind our desk to let veterans know about the benefits that they may be entitled to. And we have to make this a collaborative effort. And in this position, I have strived to do that. And I think that if we continue to do this, we can reach to more veterans.
That's fantastic. Netanya Davis, thanks so much.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we continue talking through some of the different ways that the city of Jacksonville and the VA, as Netanya was talking about, these other organizations, as we come to you for these conversations from the headquarters of Wounded Warrior Project here in Jacksonville, we continue talking with Derek Collins now, who is going to join us here, the Community Engagement Director for Concerned Veterans for America in Northeast Florida. I'm going to give a little bit of your background right here. Served in the Marine Corps 1990 to 96. Aviation life support systems technician, and then after active duty served another year in the reserves.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this. Derek, maybe just explain the mission of the organization, which is Concerned Veterans of America.
Yeah, so we're kind of a little bit different than a lot of the groups you've met so far and going to meet. We operate in the public policy arena. You know, anything from either VA healthcare reform with the passage of the Mission Act of 2018, or even in some foreign policy. And what we want to do is we want to connect veterans to let them know that they have a voice in how policy is shaped, instead of, you know, just waiting for something to come out of Washington or Tallahassee, that you actually have that ability to have input in that, to connect them back to that service that they used to do.
So it sounds like there's probably multiple layers there. You want to understand from veterans their concerns. You clearly have your experience, but the other side is probably dealing with those lawmakers or their staff. Hey, here's what's concerning to our veteran community. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. See, when you're in the military, you're allowed to have a political opinion, but you're not free to express it.
Sure.
And sometimes once you leave service, you kind of get stuck with that mentality. And it's really about remembering we have a participatory democracy, that we're allowed to have that input. And so what we do is we try to, you know, through volunteer work, connect veterans back to that you have a voice, a unique voice as a veteran. Veterans represent all stripes. They're just not one political party or one ideology. It's a segment of our population. When veterans come together on one issue, Washington and Tallahassee, they take notice of these things.
Yeah. So how are you getting that information from veterans? How are you getting their input into what's important for them?
Well, I do things like part of it is, you know, my work with the CVEB here in town, and also going around to different organizations and sharing these are the policies that are going on, and this is what they're going on, and are the policies that we promote, are they actually having the intended impact for the end user, the veteran, that we think that they're having? So that way we can take that back and feed it back up, so we can plan our next policy initiatives off of what's working, what's not working.
Is there a lobbying arm of this? Is there a policy project or a program that you say, hey, this is, and we got the information from our veterans, now we're going to take it to the appropriate lawmakers.
Absolutely, because that's kind of how the system works. But we try to make sure that veterans we teach them that process, how that works. But also we use that to connect them back into that process. A lot of times we feel that it's just a bunch of lobbyists in DC making these short, these deals behind backroom doors and stuff like that. But no, instead what it is that it's folks like me, when I'll go in and talk to a legislator and say, listen, I'm back home in your district, knocking on doors, talking to your veterans, meeting with them. They say, this is what they want, or even bringing in some of those folks. You see their demeanor change. It's not just no longer a lobbyist talking to them. No, it's actual people that the policies they're going to vote on actually impact real lives.
Derek, give me maybe an example. What's one of the recent things that we have seen passed that came about because of the input from veterans?
Well, the big one was the Mission Act of 2018. That is going to allow veterans to be able to access care in the community instead of having to constantly rely on the VA for their health care. Right now, we have Jacksonville in Northeast Florida is one of the largest areas for veterans in Florida. But if a veteran wants to begin their journey with VA, they have to drive all the way to Gainesville and pass a lot of good healthcare options here in town. So what we wanted is give veterans that ability to have choice over their healthcare. In the military, you don't have the choice. You go to the base, medical. You go to where they want you to. You get the treatment they want you to have. And a lot of times we still believe that it has to be that way for a veteran, but it's not. The deal was that you give us our service, we'll take care of your health care. But veterans would rather use health care that they have a choice in or a say in, whether it be the VA or private care. So that's one of the things we help push to enable to give veterans back their choice in health care.
Yeah, there's a choice in the military, right? It's to say, yes, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the choice there.
Yeah.
Final thing maybe for you, Derek, how does your organization help veterans transition into the Jacksonville community?
Well, that's part of it. When I got out in 96, 95, the world was a lot different from when I went in 90.
Wow.
It changed completely. And so I did everything that you're supposed to. I got out, got a job, started a family, bought a house, all that stuff. But I always felt there was just something missing, that no matter what organization I worked with, I lost that ability to connect what I did on a daily basis to something greater than what I was doing. And every piece of equipment I worked on for a pilot, I knew was going to go to have and continue the mission that was going to shape the future of our nation. And then I get out into the civilian world, and it just becomes about what's happening this quarter, what's the sales goal for the month, are we shipping things on time? And I've lost that connection. And when I began to volunteer originally with another organization, and they connected me to this idea that, you can now work on things as well that may not impact you directly, but it's going to impact everybody in either in the state or the country. That filled a need that I never realized I had after almost 20 years of being out. And so that's what I try to do on a day basis, to connect to all these other organizations and individual veterans and connect them back into that. This is what you do, and what you do today. The time you sacrifice volunteering with me impacts the entire nation once again. And you can get that feeling again that you had, that a lot of people didn't realize they had when they were in the service.
Yeah. Derek, I love it. I love hearing about the organization Concerned Veterans of America and what you're doing. Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So one of the things I just wanted to restate for you, remind you of, is that you can contact the Veterans Administration and get more information on the resources, on some of the organizations that are here. This is all about the collaboration, the various organizations that are here in the greater Jacksonville area that are working to try and benefit veterans and specifically help on the transition that happens leaving the military. So please join me in welcoming Sela Logan, who is a Gold Star surviving spouse, a veteran, a military spouse advocate, and with Career Source, Northeast Florida. And as I understand it, you're working as the military spouse advocate. So Sela, let's start there. What is that role? What does that do?
So yes, I am a military spouse advocate with Career Source Northeast Florida, and we provide regional workforce services to military families, but we also provide resources as well. So my role is working with, spouses and the families. Originally, I had thought, okay, I'm going to just be helping spouses get jobs, but I want to say about 60% of my spouses request for mental health services.
Okay.
And so I have taken that upon myself to make sure to make that, a priority, and making sure that I'm you know, working with all these great organizations here in Northeast Florida to help. That's my way of helping.
So you didn't say, oh, I can't worry about that. I'm just worried about this thing over here getting a job. You said, hey, there's a need. Let's find a way to meet that need is what it sounds like.
Well, it's personal for me. You know, as you mentioned, my husband, he served in the Marine Corps, and he passed away in 2017, and he passed away from the invisible wounds of war. And it is personal for me. I have 2 small boys. And so I see these military families, you know, and I see my family every day and the struggles that we, you know, live with. And so how can I, you know, help them so that they are not grieving like we are?
You know, that takes some courage. So Sela, thank you for that. That takes courage to recognize that, to see that that is my family too. And I'm not going to let it be. I'm going to make sure that I can do something to help. I understand that you're volunteering as a peer mentor with TAPS and the Travis Manion Foundation, also an advocate for suicide prevention post intervention. So explain some of those things and how you got involved there. I know some of your personal story you just shared, but how do you get involved in helping?
Well, with TAPS, as a peer mentor, I had to wait. You know, they give you a certain period of time. So once you hit the 2-year mark, you're able to help others. And so I immediately said, when's that 2-year mark? When can I sign up and when can I get the training? I had so many amazing mentors. It was, you know, even from Wounded Warrior Project, the day my husband passed away, they were there within hours. I had so many mentors, whether they were caregivers, they were other veterans, and I wanted to give back. I wanted to do that. And plus it helps me to heal. And so if I can be there for other survivors and help them on their path, then they can help others as well.
Yeah.
With Travis Manion, you know, that's the other thing is they asked me, they said, we don't have an active group in Jacksonville. Do you want to help with families of the fallen? Do you want to be there? Do you want to help them to remember who, you know, who their loved one is? And I said, yes. So that's what I do.
Are there families that struggle with that, not just because of the grief, but because of the distance from the separation, if you will, from your loved one? It's been a couple of years for you since your husband passed. As you get farther down that line, really you want to hold on to the memory of the love that you had for that family member, right?
Yeah, that time period doesn't matter if it was 6 months or if it was 10 years. The love is always going to be there. The loss is always going to be there. So, you know, and it's even for servicemen. I mean, they're losing their battle buddies. So how can I help so that they don't become, you know, that person who's passed away? I mean, it's a ripple effect. So if we continue to be there for people and talk to them, you know, these statistics are going to go away at some point, but we have to put ourselves out there. And it does take strength. It does take courage, but we have to. It's the only way that we're going to stop it.
So we're not going to see if I asked everybody who's watching right now to raise their hand if they didn't realize that they could go to Career Source and then get some counsel, some guidance, some encouragement like you're talking about.
Sort of, yes.
There'd be a lot of people raising their hand. I didn't know that.
Well, we do have a veterans team
that
will specifically work with veterans if you're a disabled veteran, and the state funds that. So we do have that, but I have the role specifically working with the families.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Boy, I love that you were willing to share your story, the personal impact of what happens in a military family, and it's inspiring to hear how you've turned your loss into help for other families. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for explaining your work there with Career Source, and best success on connecting with more veterans. Sela, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's awesome. So again, Sela Logan from Career Source there, and much more than you might have expected to hear about what Career Source does. So if you have hopped into this live stream midway through and you're like, what's going on here? We're at the Jacksonville, Florida headquarters of Wounded Warrior Project. We're coming to you to talk about the connection between various agencies and groups, the partnerships that are here through the Veterans Administration, through the City of Jacksonville, through these various organizations, helping veterans and specifically as they transition into our community here. So this is going to be awesome. I want to introduce you now. Join me in welcoming Tony Delaio, who's representing the Vietnam Veterans of America. It's good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you again.
Tony and I have gotten to know each other a little bit here, really in the last year, and specific to some of the things that your organization was doing to try and help people understand the availability of resources to help. Tony was deployed in Vietnam, first through the Army and then later through the Marines. Currently the president of Chapter 1046 of the Vietnam Veterans of America. You've lived in Jacksonville since 1996. So that's a good stretch.
Yes.
It's a good community, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a very good community.
Have you found it encouraging to complete your mission, which is to help people understand more about the resources available for Vietnam veterans?
Well, it's been getting better the last couple of years. The VA has got better. There's more positive coming out of it. There is, in the 5 counties, there's over 1,000 Vietnam vets, and there's over 8,000 in the state of Florida. And in the 5 counties, there's almost 500,000 veterans. So there's a lot of work to do for the veterans. And one of our goals is never to leave a generation behind again. The way we treated when we came home was disgraceful. But those politicians are now in Washington, and they're doing the same thing they did to us 45 years ago.
You feel like you're making a difference, and has that changed, at least in terms of the way people here in our area treat you?
Oh, yes. When we had 9 years ago, when we had our first parade here, this city opened up like unbelievable, that we got standing from everybody. And the guys and the women in our association, we were crying by the time we went down. Every time we march in a parade, the people of this town honor us. The people in this town support us. I can't say enough about the people in this town. And it doesn't matter what side of the towns you go to in Duval. A veteran's a veteran, and I can go in anywhere. I'm not worried because there's no veteran in it yet. And they're caring. Some of the, to try to get funds, we get little funds from little people. We don't get the big dollar support to help us. In a sense, I have to stand in front of a Publix with a cup to raise money to help homeless vets. Because that's what we do. We help Soulsbucker. We give money to them so they can help vets. We give it to Claire White. We don't keep any money that we get. What I raise all year long, it's gone by the end of the year. I'll let the next president worry about collecting.
You want to make sure that money's going to work, right?
Oh, it's got to go to work. I don't want it to stay in it. We're not a savings bank. But the key thing is what we're working is I'm on the CVE board also. I went to a seminar up in Columbus on the Veteran Education Action Committee. And we're going to bring that here in May. And that's a program with the VA, which I'm very excited about, because what it's going to do, if it's run right and this guy Cajun is going to set it up, veterans will be able to look in their claims. They may even get them settled right there. We just had an Agent Orange thing that you helped us do it. And we had 325 vets there, Vietnam vets. And my count so far for the state of Florida, those that came there, we have over 200 claims on Agent Orange, PTSD, because I insulted them to get up off their butt. Because I can't do the claim. I can't adjust the claim. I can't explain the claim. I can't do that. They got to go see it. Duval County's Military Affairs Office is fantastic. The service reps we have here are great. They help 110%. The DAV down here, they have service offices also. To give you another example, what we're going to do in February, we're going to have a welcome home Vietnam and veterans down at the arena. And it's going to be strictly 501c3s and 19s, only veterans. It's not a job for we don't. At 75 years old, I don't need a job no more. Either I made my money to retire or I didn't.
But you still need the connection with those other veterans, right?
Yes, but see, like Wounded Warriors will be there, K9 Warriors will be there. My friend Dee Quaranta with her program will be there. Helena with her program. A veteran's a veteran, not a male veteran, not a female veteran, not a black veteran, not a white veteran, not a Spanish veteran. A veteran's a veteran. I go to Union County Correctional, and we have 130 Vietnam vets in there doing life.
Wow.
They wouldn't be there if they were in Jacksonville now, because we have what they call a Veterans Court program, which is fantastic. I was a mentor for 6 years, and these young men and older men get DWIs, drugs, whatever. If they go through this program in the whole year, it gets washed away.
Yeah, so there's that help to complete the transition or get through what can be a tough job. Tony, we're going to run out of time.
I know.
Tony, we love getting to talk, and we'll keep talking about it, but I appreciate so much what you've shared. Clearly, from your perspective, there's a need for the continued collaboration among all these agencies in here in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, but I want to appreciate you. What you did,
pleasure.
You helped on the Agent Orange claim. You helped my thing, and you're helping this here talk.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm a big supporter of you.
Well, it's mutual. Thanks for your service, and thanks for
Thank
what you're doing right now, Tony.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Lots of different kinds of stories telling the same story, right? That this Jacksonville community is about the collaboration for the benefit of the people who have served. So a great honor now to introduce Mike Fleming, a friend for a long time now, and somebody who's served his country and served our state and served in a number of different ways. Right now, General Fleming is the outreach director for the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic at Centerstone in Jacksonville, and retired Army Brigadier General, served in both the Army and the Marine Corps. Why don't you help us understand, a lot of people may not know yet, I say yet because they're about to, about the Stephen A. Cohen Military Family Clinic. What is this?
The Stephen Cohen is a hedge fund manager whose son joined the Marine Corps and had a great experience. And then when his son got out of the Marine Corps, they wanted to know, ask his son what he could do. And it was mental health is one of the real challenges for post 9/11 veterans and military families. And so Mr. Cohen has contributed almost $300 million to create clinics all across the United States. The goal is to have 25 clinics open by the end of next year. And we'll get fortunate to have one in Jacksonville. We just opened one in Tampa in August, and this one in Jacksonville should open in the first part of 2020.
Specifically, what kind of clinic is it? What would I expect if I were going to go there, or why would I want to go to that clinic?
It's a mental health services, and it's not inpatient, but it's normally have about 12 sessions, and it's really to help the adjustment of the veterans, and also key aspect of this is military families, because we don't treat the active duty members, but if there's a military family with an active duty member, we see that military family. And here in Jacksonville, 1 in 4 of the people in Jacksonville have some kind of connection to the military. Either they're a veteran, they're serving at one of our Navy bases, Marine Corps base. And so we really feel like there's a need for that. And it's no cost or low cost. We bring people there. We have childcare. We have all kinds of different things. We want to take down every barrier that we possibly have for mental wellness. And Mr. Cohen is gracious enough, and the great team that we have will be headed by Liz Shearer, who's actually a military veteran herself and also a military spouse.
Yeah, you've been connected to our Jacksonville community for a while. And I want to point this out. You're the founder and chair of the Jacksonville Military Veterans Coalition and Northeast Florida Military Veteran College Network. And you co-chair the Community Veterans Engagement Board. You know, it sounds nice when we say, oh, Jacksonville is a military-friendly community, but you see that lived out. Maybe explain how you see the collaboration that we're talking about among the veteran agencies and organizations.
I mean, I'm just heartened. It's interesting because I'm pretty much immersed in it, but I'm so glad that we have this opportunity. And I want to thank Mike Lennington, Dan Schnock from Wounded Warrior Project for hosting this, because the Community and Veterans Engagement Board that was created, it's got a couple of missions. One is to help work with the VA to have better services here in our area. And we have a couple of projects for that. One is like this, is to help people know what's going on so they can know about the services. Also, we want to do other things, engage the community. The Cohen Veterans Network had done a survey, and about 90% of American people want there to be more programs to address the military-civilian divide. And one of the things we're doing obviously is this, but we want to do things like the community clergy training program, where we have faith leaders and we teach them about the military. And because most faith leaders have not been in the military, but veterans don't go to the military installations to go to church services or their synagogues. They're in the church, they're in the community. And we feel like if we can reach out to the faith leaders, not make them experts, but make them aware of the challenges that veterans have. And then also, if it's beyond their capabilities, what they should do. So we really feel like part of our engagement is with the community and better educate them about veterans and the way that military families can be supported.
Well, one of the things I would ask and interject if you'd like, I was going to ask about what the biggest challenges are or needs are. And then I think that you're also part of this new Firewatch program that we talked about earlier. Where does veteran suicide rank on that list?
That's very much at the top. I'm going to be the initial chair of the Firewatch. And really, this is a unique because it's a collaboration of all 5 counties to work together. Every one of the counties is committed to an interlocal agreement to work on veteran suicide. And it runs different ranges. You got veterans, you got different things. You also have one of the challenges, the Guard and Reserve, because unfortunately the highest suicide rate is actually with the Army National Guard, where I used to serve. Wow. And one of the challenges is when reservists and guardsmen come back from deployments, the communities reach out and they do great things, but eventually they go back to their family and they lose that camaraderie that you've heard a lot about with within a unit. And so what we want to do is create programs for that. I think one of the other big challenges overall for us is connection. And you've heard Jeff Winkler talked about Mission United with that. But we're also creating a website through the Firewatch that's going to be a listing of resources in Northeast Florida for veterans and military families, because a lot of times people don't necessarily need to talk to somebody. What they want to do is go on a site. I use the illustration, Amazon. If you want to look at furniture, you don't call somebody and ask them to describe furniture. You go in and look at it. And so what we're doing is we're creating a website in collaboration with Canines for Warriors to really be a resource guide all the way from employment to healthcare to homeless and housing and things. That way people can get immediately connected without even having to talk to somebody. So it's very much it's 2 parts of it. One is the collaboration to Mission United, where you can talk to somebody or talk to at the city or any of the county VSOs. But then also there's this website that'll have the resources. So if someone just wants to know and be connected, we'll also have that for them.
Yeah, so the website is coming, not active yet.
It's not active yet. You will see with Firewatch, what we anticipate doing is we have programs that we are starting and initiating. We'll have press releases in that. We anticipate that'll be in early 2020 in connection really with what Mission United is doing. So you'll have somebody you can talk to, and then you also have a website. We'll feel like that's the best way you connect veterans with services.
Yeah, connecting veterans with services, part of your passion. General Fleming, thank you so much.
Appreciate
it explaining all of that. As you hear some of that, yeah, there are lots of different veteran service organizations, VSOs. And sometimes that might feel like that just adds to the complexity. What you're hearing today is that we're trying to streamline that, trying to give you an avenue to find the right resource as a veteran or a family member on making it through that next part of your life here, doing it successfully. So our next speaker is Laura Wright. Laura's coming on over. Laura's a Navy veteran and active volunteer with Northeast Florida Women's Veterans and AARP. I just got to meet you a few minutes ago.
Yes.
First and foremost, thanks for the service. And tell me about what you're doing now to serve those other veterans and try and help connect them to a successful life.
Well, since working with the Northeast Florida Women's Veterans Center, I volunteer at different events and I go out in the community, I pass out cards, and I talk to any woman that's willing to talk to me in grocery stores, at the hospital, anywhere, because I wear my shirt. And people will stop you when you're wearing your shirt and ask you questions. And I try my best to answer. If I don't have the answer, then I suggest that they call the office. And we just enjoy each other's company for that.
That sounds like a really good job. That sounds like it. You just get to go talk with people.
I love talking.
Well, who wouldn't want to just visit with you? You said you wear the shirt. What does the shirt say that grabs people's
Northeast
attention?
Florida Women's Veterans Center. And on one of my shirts, don't tell Miss D, I am awesome on the back.
Well, why wouldn't you? People probably see that without that written on the back. They can see that you're awesome. Tell me about some of the services that Northeast Florida women veterans provide to female veterans.
One main thing that they provide, which I found is helpful for the organization, is called Her Total Wellness. That's a 6-week program wherein a woman come in. They tend to the mind, the physical, and all sources of the person. Most times people are sick within. I mean, mentally and spiritually. And if you're broken inside, you can't function on the outside. We may look pretty on the outside, but in the inside, we're really hurting. And this group, during that 6 week, pull all that negativity out of you. Because when I started there in 2018, I had never known that there were so many resources available to me. To give you a little background about myself, when I got out the military in 1985, there was no exit interview, just my walk-in papers told me I wasn't a veteran, I didn't have any benefits. So I didn't bother with it. From 1985 until 2008, I never dealt with the VA. And then I started dating a gentleman that was a Vietnam era veteran. And we got to talking and he said he was a veteran. I said, so am I. He said, do you go to the VA? I said, what's that? And so he took me there in Pensacola where I lived. And within an hour, I was signed up. And since then, I've been going to the VA. But I didn't have that knowledge.
Yeah, veterans that you work with or deal with, is that continue? Are there a lot of
Yes.
female veterans who say, I didn't realize what was
Yes.
available to me?
As a matter of fact, I met a female yesterday. I stopped and we got to talking about crafts. And then it ended up on veterans. And she said, I'm retired. She said, but I don't know what to do with myself. And so, I went into my song and dance and I gave her one of the cards for the office and I gave her my telephone number and I told her what we do as a group and that, it'll get her out of that lonely situation because she feels as though she's ostracized because of her age.
And you let her know that wasn't the case?
No, because I'm 65 and when I first moved here 5 years ago, I didn't have any friends. Just my 2 daughters. And you get tired of hanging out with your daughters and their
Even
friends.
if they're wonderful.
Yeah.
You want your own life,
I
right?
wanted my own life. So when I met a fellow female veteran at the movie by accident, she kept encouraging me to come to the VA office downtown. And so I finally went and I've been there ever since. They can't get rid of me.
How about that? Who would want to get rid of you anyway? Laura Wright, maybe wrap it up. How can people get involved with Northeast Florida women veterans?
If you have a computer or go to the library, you can go online and look us up at www.forveterans.org, or you can go down to the office on 2133 Broadway Street and talk to anyone there. They will help.
Are they as friendly as you?
Oh gosh, yes. And they love to talk too.
Yeah, well, I love to talk and I love that we got to talk about what you're doing and what your organization is doing. And again, that partnering that's happening here, City of Jacksonville and in our region, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I've learned so much in the last month about all the various organizations, and I keep meeting Mr. Steve everywhere I go.
No kidding.
Yeah.
He's out there too,
Yes, he
talking
is.
with people in the grocery store aisles or wherever.
Yes, he does.
Laura Wright, thank you so much.
Thank
Again, thanks
you.
for your service and the enthusiasm you bring to try and help other people. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So Laura Wright from Northeast Florida Women Veterans of Jacksonville, right there. We're going to invite Tayden Hale to come over and join us. Very good to meet you earlier. Tayden Hale is here representing Mission Continues, a platoon leader for the Mission Continues in Jacksonville, and served in the United States Navy 8 years, deployed to Iraq. And why don't you just start with a little bit of your story, and we're going to turn that into what you're doing now to serve your brothers and sisters in arms.
Okay. Well, my dad's a Army vet, and I joined the Navy in 1998 and served until 2006. My first duty station was Cusco, Japan on Blue Ridge. And then I got to go to Dubai, Jabal Ali, and Bahrain for a time period.
I hear some people who join the military say, I want to see the world. You
Yeah.
got to see parts of the world that most
definitely
people
did.
won't, right?
Yes, sir. I sure did. And then my last duty station was here in Mayport, and I got out in 2006 and kind of tried to reconnect with the community and finding different things to do. And that's how I found Mission Continues in 2014.
What was service like for you, and what was that experience, and how does that play into the role that you've got now with Mission Continues?
My whole military career, I tried to find things to do as far as outside of the military, trying to reconnect with the community and serving the community wherever we were. I would do Comrail projects or community service projects when we got to do pull into our duty station. So it just kind of carried over once I got out.
You know, why did you decide to stay in Jacksonville? Many veterans do, as we know. Why did you decide to stay?
I'm from Gainesville, so it was an hour away. It's
Yeah.
close to home, but not at home. So.
Not at home,
Not at home.
but not too far from home. How did you really get involved with Mission Continues, and then maybe explain more about what Mission Continues does?
I was just looking for a way to reconnect and to plug into the community. It's easy to, plug in and reconnect with veterans because I was plugged into the VA, but I wanted to re-engage in society and do something for the community in which we serve.
So how does Mission Continue do that?
So what Mission Continues, we give you a way to reconnect and engage in the community with other veterans, with community partners, with other organizations, and it gives you a purpose.
Give me an example of one of those ways you can engage in the community with other veterans.
So we create our own service projects where we go in and we will take over a school, and we'll go in and paint and renovate and build picnic tables or whatever they need. And then we do community service support projects where we'll go in with other organizations and help them in their community service projects. And then we also engage in social engagement with other organizations like Team Red, White, and Blue, where we do the Run as One project. We do social engagement projects with WWP. We've gone out and helped Team Rubicon as well.
Tayden, why is that important? Why is that helpful to someone like you who's served? Just explain why that's a big value.
Well, when we get out, we have all these skills that we don't know what to do with. And then we're still looking for that camaraderie and a way to connect and to still have that same fire. So giving veterans a community service project, it's like you feel like you're serving again. You get that same passion.
Does that impact some of the other things that we've heard are needs for veterans? Hey, I need some physical activity. I need to do that with other people. Does it help on the mental health side?
Oh, definitely. And because it translates not just on that community service project, because outside of that, we're reconnecting, we're a family, we're doing things to help each other, and then we can use those skills and just every day. So
how big is Mission Continues here in the Jacksonville area?
The Mission Continues platoon here in Jacksonville is over 300 people.
300.
Mhm.
You got any room for anybody else?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
How much? What's the right size? Is this, hey, we'd rather have 3,000? What's the goal, and what would you like to see happen?
I would love to see every veteran, every active duty, families, kids, everybody come out and get together, and let's get into our communities and rebuild and reconnect.
How do they get involved?
You can go to missioncontinues.org and sign up, or you can come out to our service projects and sign up there.
Yeah, and so I find out more about the survey project. Is there a list of what the events are, the projects, and I could
Yes.
come see or participate?
Yes, we have a website on missioncontinues.org. You can plug into the Jacksonville platoon and just sign up from there.
Yeah.
And we're nationwide, so there's a service project going on just about every month in every city.
Yeah, there's a big value, not just to those who are being served, but those who are serving when you do a service project in your community, right?
Yes.
Tatum Hale, what a pleasure. Thank you so much again for your service and what you're doing with Mission Continues. So we are going to continue with one more speaker, and I want to invite my friend Bill Spann to come on over. Bill is the City of Jacksonville's Director of Military Affairs and Veteran Services. It's so good to see you. We've known each other for, gosh, I think we probably met 8 or 9 years ago. Bill's staff serving Northeast Florida military and veterans community, assisting with recovery of VA benefits and VA claims. And maybe just start there. You served as well, retired from the Navy in 2003 as a commander. Maybe explain what your role in the city and what your department does for people in Duval County.
Well, primarily we serve vets to get their earned VA benefits. We're like CPAs at tax time, only we deal with the VA, and instead of dealing with taxpayers, we deal with veterans. We see about 10,000 veterans every fiscal year, plus or minus a couple of hundred. And that's with a staff of 18, so we're very busy.
Wow.
And we'd like to see more. I'd like to see that to be 20,000. And each year we put about $25 to $27 million of new VA money. That's new money each year into those same 10,000 veterans' pockets. And these are earned benefits. My primary challenge is awareness. Just like many of the people that have come up here today have said that people don't realize what they've earned, what they've, can access. And so I see people, I see groups, I go out, I do lunch and learns, I do basically anybody that'll have me. My thought is that if I can spend an hour or two of my time and get one more veteran in my lobby to see our expert team of state qualified veteran service officers to get money into their pockets, then it's been worthwhile.
Is it surprising at all? I would imagine your experience, it's not, but is it surprising at all to hear some of these stories we've heard in the last hour or so of people saying, and then I found out, or I didn't know that I had the opportunity to get this support?
I always use myself as an example. When I retired in 2003, I was a public affairs officer at the Naval Academy. I had a laundry list like everybody else did of 35 people I had to check out with. I had a job in Tallahassee, and I was ready to go. I was rip snorting and ready to go. And the last guy I went to was the guy across the river in the VA. And he said, "Sir, let me look at your medical record and see what you've earned." I said, "Sir, just please sign the form. Let me go." Fast forward to when I was in this job, and I had the same conversation with our VSOs. And for months, my lead VSO just literally hounded me. "Sir, give me your medical record. Give me your..." I finally gave it to him just to make him be quiet and leave me alone. Turned out I had left tens of thousands of dollars on the table of benefits that had accrued to me in VA, benefits that I had just been too naive and arrogant to access. So my message to the viewers today is don't be me. Because me was very stupid. And I see people like that all the time. There's a mental mindset also, because they're called disability claim, and they're called many things, but one of them is a disability claim. You don't want to think of yourself as disabled. That's someone in a wheelchair, someone, that's, far more unfortunate than whatever condition you're in. And I tell people all the time, don't be ashamed. Come in and access the benefits that you've earned. Additionally, our office helps through a nice partnership with the Jacksonville Jaguars Charitable Foundation. We keep veterans who are down on their luck from getting evicted or getting their utilities turned off and on the pathway to being homeless. We have another grant with the Department of Labor where we take homeless veterans and reintegrate them into the job market. We also work hand in glove with local housing providers for homeless. And at the same time that we get them a roof over their head, we concentrate on getting them a job.
So a lot of different ways, and it sounds like pretty important ways to try and help. One of the things that I'd mentioned earlier, and I think you alluded to, is there are a lot of different veteran service organizations, a lot of different ways you could be helped. But if I'm a veteran and I come to your office, you're going to help find the right one for me, right?
We have a large list of referrals. As General Fleming mentioned and Jeff Winkler earlier, we're working on aggregating those into one website, which is going to be a nonprofit .org type of website. You should never pay for these services. You've already earned them. In our case, we're one of 2 cities in the nation that are fully funded under the city budget to provide these services. So you've already paid for them with your tax dollars. Don't ever pay anybody anything to get the benefits that you've earned. But there are a lot of organizations out there that are trying to aggregate all of these services, and 211 and Mission United is going to be a great one.
Yeah. Will you all be involved in Firewatch as well, or is there a component of that where you can at least refer or help out?
We will, absolutely. There'll be a primary referral for those types of things. We have certain protocols in the office. If someone comes in and expresses a suicidal ideation or says that they're, headed in that direction, we have certain protocols we have to follow.
Yeah.
We are not at the city, obviously, we're not service providers, we're not mental health providers.
Right.
So we work very closely with JSO and JFRD to get them immediately into the help that they need.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've loved over the time that we've gotten to know each other is your concern for, your care for veterans like yourself. And I appreciate just the willingness to share that story about you yourself didn't realize the benefits that, as you expressed, you had earned, and needed somebody like you to come alongside and say, hey, you deserve this. You should take advantage of, or you should utilize this.
Don't be ashamed of it.
That's awesome.
And don't be, too arrogant or naive like I was to access them.
Last thing, what advice would you give to a local veteran that is in need?
First off, if you haven't come into our office, bring your medical record, your DD-214, which is your proof of honorable service. Come in and let our experts go through it and see what you may have earned that is missed. If you're already service connected and receiving benefits and it's been a couple of years, that things change, your physical condition changes. Come in again and let our guys give you an update, give you a refresh to make sure that there aren't additional benefits that have accrued to you as your medical condition changes. If you're a veteran out there and you're having trouble making your rent, or you're in danger of getting evicted, or you're in danger of getting your utilities cut off, give us a call. We're at 255-5550, 255-5550. It's an easy number to remember. And everything we do in our office is free. You've already paid for it with your tax dollars.
Yeah. How do you feel about this whole effort today? I mean, this was about explaining the connection between the city and the VA and these veteran service organizations.
I can't say enough good things about Wounded Warrior Program and the lives that they save on a daily basis. Under the leadership of General Mike Lennington, this place is just thriving. They are up, they're running, they're headed fair, and they're just a wonderful organization. We've got individuals
good partner.
They're a great partner. They're a great leader. I mean, they're leading, and we try to utilize them as much as possible. And they refer people to us and vice versa.
Yeah. Bill Spann, appreciate your work for the city of Jacksonville and Department of Military Affairs and Services.
Happy to do it.
All right. Thank you.
It's an honor.
So the honor really has been mine. What we've been doing here in these last hour plus really is this VetTalk X today was about the Community Veterans Engagement Board presenting this. And again, as Bill just mentioned, we're coming to you from the headquarters of Wounded Warrior Project in Jacksonville, Florida. I hope this has been beneficial for you. I hope that there's been more than one of these organizations that you've heard about today and you say, I need to connect with them right away. Our best to you, and thanks for watching.